It was a cold evening. The streets were almost empty. A few cars passed by, their headlights cutting through the misty air. People hurried home, not looking at anyone, not stopping for anything. The city was alive, but also lonely. He walked slowly, his hands in his pockets. Life had been normal for him. Work, home, sleep, repeat. Nothing special, nothing exciting. But that evening, something unusual caught his eyes. Near the corner of an old shop, in the shadow of a flickering streetlight, a boy sat on the ground. He was small, thin, and weak. His clothes were torn, his skin pale. His head was down, his arms wrapped around his knees. At first he looked like any other poor child, but when the man looked closer, he noticed something strange. The boy's eyes. They were not normal eyes. They were brighter, almost glowing faintly in the dark. Not like a flashlight, but like the reflection of stars in deep water. His face was young, maybe 12 or 13 years old, but his expression was old, tired, almost ancient. The man felt something inside him. Most people would walk past. They would think, not my problem. But he stopped. He stared at the boy, and the boy slowly raised his head. The eyes met. For a moment, the world around them went silent. No car horns, no footsteps, nothing. Just those strange eyes looking back at him. "Are you hungry?" the man asked, his voice uncertain. The boy did not speak. He only nodded slowly. The man sighed. He knew he didn't have much money. His life was not easy either. But something about this boy, something he could not explain, pushed him to act. He walked to the nearby food stall and bought a small box of rice and bread. It was not much, but it was warm. He returned and placed the food in front of the boy. For a second, the boy did not move, as if he didn't understand. Then, with trembling hands, he grabbed the food and began to eat. He ate fast, too fast, like someone who had not tasted food for days. Tears rolled down his cheeks while he chewed. The man watched silently, feeling a strange mix of sadness and comfort. After a few minutes, the boy stopped. He looked up again, his eyes shining more clearly now. And then he spoke. His voice was soft, almost broken, but there was a power hidden inside it. "You gave me life when I had nothing," the boy whispered. The man frowned. "It's just food," he replied. The boy shook his head. "No, not just food. You gave me more. You gave me hope." The man didn't know what to say. How could a small box of rice mean so much? But before he could ask, the boy leaned closer. His voice dropped lower, as if sharing a secret. "One day, I will return," the man blinked. "Return? What do you mean?" The boy's lips curved into the faintest smile, but his eyes looked serious. "You will understand. When the stars call me back." And then, just like that, the boy stood up. His movements were slow, weak, but his posture was strange, straight, almost royal. He gave one last look at the man, then turned and disappeared into the shadows of the street. The man stood frozen. His mind raced. What had just happened? Who was that boy? Why did his words sound so heavy, so meaningful? He tried to follow, but when he reached the corner, the boy was gone. Completely gone. The street was empty, as if no one had ever been there. That night, the man could not sleep. He lay in his bed, replaying the scene again and again. The boy's glowing eyes, the way he ate with tears in his eyes. The strange words, "One day I will return," was he just imagining it? Maybe it was only a hungry child with strange eyes. But deep inside, he felt it was something more. Something bigger. The encounter stayed in his memory. Days passed, then months, then years. But he never forgot. Every time he saw the night sky filled with stars, he remembered that boy. And each time a question burned in his heart. Who was he? Where did he come from? And most importantly, what did he mean by return? The man did not know that his simple act of kindness, giving food to a starving boy, had started a chain of events that would one day change not only his life, but the fate of humanity itself. Years passed. Life did not wait. The man went back to his normal routine. Work in the day, sleep at night. Bills, deadlines, endless noise of the city. People came and went. But deep inside, one memory never left him. The boy. The image of that starving child with glowing eyes lived in his mind like a shadow. He remembered the way the boy ate, the tears, the strange words. "One day, I will return." At first he told himself it was nothing, just a hungry child with odd eyes. Maybe sick, maybe lost. But when nights grew quiet and the city lights faded, he would sit by his window and stare at the stars, and every time he looked at them he thought of that boy. He could not explain why. The weight of memory, sometimes he tried to forget. He buried himself in work. He forced himself to laugh at small things, to enjoy little moments. But the memory was stubborn. It was not only the boy's words, it was the way he had spoken. A voice too heavy, too wise for a child. A voice that seemed to carry something larger than Earth itself. The man often asked himself, who was he? Where did he go? Years stretched into a decade. People around him changed. Neighbors moved out, new ones came in. His hair grew gray at the edges, his face a little older. But the memory of that evening stayed young, sharp, and alive. Strange dreams. Then the dreams began. At night he would close his eyes and find himself standing under a sky full of strange stars. Not Earth sky, no moon, no familiar constellations. These were alien skies filled with colors and lights he could not name. In the dreams, he always heard the boy's voice, "Do not forget me. Wait for me. Your world is not alone." He would wake up drenched in sweat, heart racing. The dreams felt too real, too vivid, like memories of something that had not yet happened. Signs in the sky one evening as he returned from work, he noticed something unusual. A light in the sky. At first it looked like a star brighter than the rest. But it moved, slowly, then faster. Then it vanished. He laughed at himself. Probably a plane. Or a satellite. He shook his head and walked on. But in his chest a quiet fear grew. Because deep down he felt it was not a plane. It was a reminder. The boy's words came back to him. One day. I will return. The forgotten promise years made people forget. His friends no longer believed him. The few times he shared the story, they laughed. You gave food to a weird kid. That's all. You dream too much. No alien is coming back for you. So he stopped talking about it. To others, it was just a silly memory. But to him, it was a promise. A forgotten promise. Every time he tried to let it go, something strange pulled him back. A new story about unidentified lights. A sudden dream of unknown planets. A random whisper in his mind that felt like it was not his own. The boy was gone, but the boy was not gone. A quiet warning, one winter night. As he sat alone in his room, the power went out. The whole block turned dark. He lit a candle and sat by the window. The stars were clearer than ever, and then he saw it, a streak of silver light cutting across the sky. Faster than any plane, brighter than any meteor. It stopped, hovered for a moment, then shot upward and vanished. His heart thumped. It was not normal. He knew it. For the first time in years, he whispered into the night, "Are you coming back?" The wind blew through the open window, almost like a reply. The quiet before the storm life continued, but he felt the change. The city was the same, people were the same, but he was not the same. Something inside him waited. He didn't know if he should be afraid or excited, but one truth stayed with him. Unchanged, unbroken. The boy had promised to return, and promises, no matter how long forgotten, always come back. The man did not know that the forgotten promise was not just about him. It was about Earth itself, about humanity's place in the universe. And soon, very soon, the stars would remind him that promises made under hunger and kindness are the most powerful of all. The night was quiet. Too quiet. The man sat by his window again, staring at the sky. It had become a habit. He often told himself he was only looking at the stars, but deep inside he knew he was waiting for something he did not fully understand. Then it happened. A sound shook the air. Deep, powerful, like thunder, but without clouds. The ground trembled. Dogs barked in the streets. People rushed out of their houses, and then they saw it. A massive light appeared in the sky. It was not a star, not a plane. It was huge, glowing, moving slowly down through the clouds. The city stopped breathing. A spaceship, not small, not hidden. A giant machine, larger than the tallest building, shaped like a silver blade cutting the night apart. It hovered above the city, its surface shining with strange symbols. The air crackled with energy. Panic spread. Some screamed. Some prayed. Others recorded on their phones. But everyone knew this was not human. The man stood frozen. His heart raced, but not with fear. With recognition. He whispered under his breath, "He's back." The landing, the ship did not fire. It did not attack. Instead, it descended slowly, silently, until it stopped in an empty field outside the city. Military vehicles rushed in. Sirens wailed. News helicopters circled. The whole world was watching. A section of the ship opened like a door. Bright light spilled out. A figure walked down a ramp, tall, strong, armor shining like polished steel. At first, people thought it was some alien commander, but the man knew before anyone else. He felt it in his bones. It was the boy, but no longer a boy. Now he was grown, a young man, his strange eyes burning brighter than ever. His face carried wisdom beyond his years, and his presence silenced the crowd. He looked powerful but also calm, like a king among stars. The recognition soldiers raised their weapons. Helicopters circled lower. The man pushed through the crowd, his heart pounding. The young commander stepped forward, scanning the faces, ignoring the weapons pointed at him. And then his eyes stopped. On the man. The same man who had once offered him food. A faint smile touched the commander's lips. He raised his hand, palm open, not as a threat but as a greeting. Gasps filled the air. People whispered, confused. Why would this powerful being notice a simple man in the crowd? The commander spoke. His voice was deep but familiar. You. The man swallowed hard. Me? The commander nodded slowly. His words carried across the silent field, strong and clear. You gave me life when I was nothing. Tonight I return to give you everything. Shock and silence, the soldiers froze, unsure if this was peace or danger. The crowd murmured louder, cameras flashing. The man felt the weight of thousands of eyes, but at that moment, he only saw the commander. Memories rushed back, the starving boy, the glowing eyes, the whispered promise. One day, I will return, and now he had. The man stepped closer, his voice shaking. You really came back. The commander's eyes softened for just a moment. I never forgot. The revelation. The commander raised his arm, and with a single gesture, the spaceship projected images into the sky. 1,000 lights painted the night, galaxies, planets, fleets of ships, wars across the stars. People gasped as they watched whole worlds appear above them like a living movie. The commander's voice echoed, I was lost, stranded here on Earth alone, dying, but you saved me. That small gift of food gave me the strength to survive until my people found me. I returned to my world. I rose through trials, battles, and wars, and now I lead an empire. The images showed massive fleets bowing to him, alien creatures kneeling, banners raised in his name. The man could hardly breathe. The boy he once fed was now a ruler of stars. The invitation. The commander lowered his hand. The lights vanished, leaving only the spaceship glowing behind him. He stepped closer to the man. Now it is my turn, he said firmly. You gave me hope. You gave me life. Come with me. Join my empire. Stand beside me. The crowd gasped louder. Soldiers exchanged nervous glances. No one understood. Why would a galactic ruler invite a simple human? But the man knew. Deep inside, he knew this moment was not an accident. The commander stretched out his hand, waiting. The decision. Waiting. The world froze. Cameras streamed live across nations. Every eye was on the man. Fear, shock, confusion, all mixed inside him. But stronger than all of them was one thing. Destiny. He looked at the commander's glowing eyes, remembering the boy he once helped. He remembered the promise one day, I will return, and now that day had come. The man's hand trembled as he reached forward, but before he could touch the commander's hand, the ground shook again. Another light appeared in the sky. This one darker, red, sharp, like fire tearing through the heavens. Another ship. The commander's face hardened. His voice dropped, calm but dangerous. They found me. The red light tore through the sky like a burning wound. The earth shook again and people screamed. Phones dropped. Soldiers shouted orders. Another ship appeared, dark, sharp, and filled with menace. It was not smooth like the silver vessel. Its surface was jagged, armored, and alive with glowing red veins. If the first ship looked like a blade of light, this one looked like a claw of fire. The man froze, his hand still inches from the commander's. The commander turned his head slowly, his calm face hardening. His glowing eyes narrowed. They came sooner than I expected, he said. His voice carried a weight that silenced even the chaos around them. The man asked softly, Who are they? The commander answered with no hesitation. Enemies. My enemies. And now they will become yours too. The choice offered. The crowd screamed louder as the second ship roared, splitting the sky with fire. Soldiers raised their weapons toward both ships, not knowing who was friend or foe. But the commander ignored the fear. He looked only at the man, the one who had once given him food. He stepped closer, his armor glowing faintly under the city lights. "Listen to me," he said. "When I was a child, you gave me life. When I had nothing, you shared your little with me. That one act of kindness has carried me across the stars. And now I am here not to take but to give." The man swallowed hard. "Give what?" The commander raised his hand again. A projection flickered in the air between them, planets spinning, star systems glowing, fleets of ships bowing in formation. "My empire," the commander said. 1,000 worlds, armies that obey my word, power beyond imagination, and I offer you a place at my side." The man could not speak. The offer sounded unreal, like a dream, but the images were real, alive. "Why me?" he whispered. The commander's eyes softened. "Because in that moment when I was nothing, you did not see an alien, you did not see a stranger, you only saw someone hungry. You showed mercy when others looked away, and that is why I need you. Not for your strength, not for your power, but for your humanity." A dangerous interruption. The second ship began to descend, shaking the ground. Its engines roared like beasts. From its belly, shapes began to move, tall, monstrous silhouettes stepping onto the earth. Their armor glowed red, their weapons long and cruel. The crowd screamed and scattered. Soldiers prepared to fire. The city was on the edge of war. The commander raised his voice, sharp and commanding. "There is no more time. Choose now. Stay here and Earth will burn. Come with me and you will see the stars." The man's heart thundered. His whole life had been ordinary: work, sleep, survival. And now he stood between two worlds. Earth familiar but fragile, and the unknown terrifying but vast. His mouth went dry. "If I go with you, what happens to them?" He pointed at the crowd, the soldiers, the children clinging to their parents. The commander's jaw tightened. "If you stay, you cannot save them. If you come, you might." The Bond remembered. The man looked into the commander's eyes. For a moment he no longer saw the armor, the power, the fleets. He only saw the starving boy under the streetlight crying while eating bread. And then he remembered the words. "One day, I will return." That day had come. But with it came danger he had never imagined. Humanity's dilemma. The enemy warriors marched forward. Their red armor gleamed, their footsteps shaking the earth. Guns pointed at them, soldiers shouted. But fear was thick in the air. The man felt torn in two. Part of him wanted to run, to hide, to pretend none of this was real. But another part whispered louder. This is why he came back. This is why he chose you. The commander stretched out his hand again. "Take it, and I will show you that even the smallest kindness can change the fate of galaxies." The man hesitated. He could feel every eye on him, the world watching, history waiting. Then, before he could decide, one of the enemy soldiers raised a weapon and fired. A beam of red light shot across the field. The commander reacted instantly, raising his arm. A shield of silver energy flared, blocking the blast. Sparks flew. The ground shook, gasps filled the air. The commander turned his head back to the man. His voice was firm, unshaken. "This is no longer a choice for later. Decide now. Stand with me or watch everything fall." The invitation sealed, the man's hand trembled. His whole life flashed before his eyes, quiet nights, forgotten dreams, the lonely child he had once helped. And then, with a deep breath, he placed his hand into the commander's. A surge of energy rushed through him, warm and strange, as if the stars themselves touched his skin. The commander's eyes glowed brighter. His voice echoed like thunder. "Then from this night forward, you are no longer only of Earth. You are of the Empire." The silver ship roared, engines lighting up the sky. The red enemy ship prepared its attack. Soldiers scattered, people cried, and the man realized one truth. His life was no longer ordinary. The boy had returned, and with him came war. The man's hand was in the commander's. The world around them roared with panic. But inside that moment there was only silence. A surge of energy moved through him. Strange. Warm, heavy, as if his body had touched lightning yet did not burn. His vision blurred for a second. When it cleared, the field around him had changed. He was no longer standing on the ground. Aboard the ship, in the blink of an eye, he was inside the silver ship. The walls glowed faintly. alive with streams of light flowing like rivers. The air was fresh, too fresh, as if it had never known dust. The ground was smooth but not cold, and the space stretched wide, larger than any hall he had ever seen. He turned quickly, his heart racing. The commander stood beside him, calm, steady, as if nothing unusual had happened. The man gasped. What did you do? Where are we? The commander's voice was calm. You chose. And now you stand among the stars. The man moved to the window. Outside, the earth lay below, blue and beautiful, but small, almost fragile. He pressed his hand against the glass-like surface, struggling to breathe. That's my home, he whispered. Yes, the commander said, and it is only one among billions. The burden of choice. The man turned, fear mixing with wonder. Why me? Why bring me here? I'm nobody. I'm not a soldier. I'm not a leader. I'm just... His voice broke. I'm just ordinary. The commander studied him, his eyes glowing softly. Do you still not see? You are the opposite of ordinary. You are proof that even in a world that looks away, someone can choose kindness. That is rarer than you think. That is what my empire needs. The man shook his head. But I can't fight wars. I can't command fleets. The commander stepped closer, his voice lower. You will learn, and you will not be alone. The enemy's arrival, a sudden alarm echoed through the ship, sharp and urgent. The walls pulsed red. Outside, the enemy ship appeared, growing larger as it closed in. Its weapons glowed like burning suns. The commander's calm broke for the first time. His voice was sharp, commanding. They will not stop until you are destroyed. They know what you mean to me and what you will mean to the Empire. The man's stomach twisted. Me? Why would they care about me? Because they fear what you represent, the commander said firmly. Hope, humanity, a power they cannot control. The ship shook as a blast from the enemy vessel struck their shields. Sparks flew across the glowing walls. The commander turned. Come. There is no more time. The first test, they walked quickly through wide corridors filled with strange symbols and glowing panels. The man felt small, lost, like a child entering a giant palace. Every wall seemed alive, humming with energy. At last, they reached a chamber where alien figures stood waiting. They were tall, armored, and powerful, but their heads lowered when the commander entered. He raised his hand. This is the one. Protect him as you would protect me. The aliens bowed in silence. The man shook his head, backing away. No, you can't mean that. I don't belong here. I don't even know your language, your world, your war. The commander's voice cut through his panic. Then learn. Survive. This is your first test, and it begins now. The man's throat tightened. What test? The ship shuddered again as another blast struck. The commander looked into his eyes. The test of courage. The test of choosing to stand instead of run. Humanity's fear. The man thought of Earth, of the people running, screaming, powerless against the fire and the sky. He thought of the boy he had once helped, starving and forgotten, now standing as a ruler of worlds. His voice cracked. What if I fail? The commander's eyes glowed brighter. Then you are only human. But if you succeed, then humanity will be more than anyone ever imagined. A glimpse of power. The commander touched a glowing panel. Instantly the floor shifted, lifting them into a control chamber filled with shining screens. A massive window revealed the enemy ship outside, closer, larger, terrifying. One of the alien officers turned. Shields at 70%, Commander. Weapons charged. The commander's jaw tightened. Hold fire. He turned to the man. This is your choice, not mine. Do we fight now, or do we retreat and prepare? Say the word and they will obey you. The man's heart stopped. Me? I can't. You can, the commander interrupted. Because your choice will show me what humanity truly is. Bold or patient, merciful or fierce, decide. The choice. The man looked out at Earth below, small and fragile, caught between giants. He looked at the enemy ship burning red, ready to destroy. Then he looked at the commander, the boy he once saved, now offering him power he never asked for. Every eye in the chamber waited. Every hand paused, ready to act on his word. The man swallowed, his voice shaking but clear. We fight. The chamber fell silent for a breath. Then the commander smiled, proud. So be it. The ship roared as weapons lit up, silver beams cutting across the dark. The war had begun, and humanity's choice was now written among the stars. The silver ship shuddered as weapons fired. Beams of light shot across the dark sky, clashing with the enemy's burning red blasts. Explosions lit up the stars. The ship trembled, yet it did not fall. The man stood in the control chamber, his chest tight, his throat dry. He had said the words, "We fight." And now the fight had begun, but the commander turned to him calm as ever. "It is not the battle outside that matters. It is the one inside you." The man frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" The commander raised a hand. A circle of light formed on the floor. It spread wide, glowing brighter, pulling the man toward it. He stumbled, tried to step back, but the floor beneath him gave way. In an instant, the control chamber was gone. The trial of fear, he found himself standing in darkness. Endless black, stretching forever. He could not see the ship, the commander, or even his own hands. Then a whisper echoed through the void. "You cannot save them." The man spun around, heart racing. "Who's there?" From the shadows, figures appeared. His neighbors, his friends. Faces from Earth, they cried out, flames around them. Hands reaching for him. "You left us. You abandoned us. You chose him instead of us." The man shook his head. "No, I didn't leave you." "I didn't." But the flames grew higher and the voices grew louder. "You are weak. You are nothing. You cannot lead." He dropped to his knees, covering his ears. The words cut deeper than any weapon. The trial of power. The fire vanished. The darkness shifted again. Now he stood on a throne, massive, shining, surrounded by alien soldiers kneeling before him. Weapons glowed. Ships hovered in the skies above. His empire stretched across stars. A voice whispered, "All this could be yours. Command them, rule them. Take what you want." The man looked down at the soldiers. They waited motionless, ready for his word. His hands shook. "I don't want this," he whispered. The voice pressed harder. "Why not? You are nothing on Earth, forgotten, small. Here you are everything. Take it, rule." The throne grew hotter, pressing against his body. The weight of power threatened to crush him. The trial of truth. The vision shifted one last time. He was back on Earth in the same street where he had first seen the starving boy, except now it was different. The boy sat there again, thin, weak, dying. But this time no food waited in his hands. No kindness, no mercy. The boy looked up at him, his glowing eyes dim. "You walked past me. You did nothing." The man's chest ached. "No, that's not true. I helped you." The boy's voice cracked. "But what if you hadn't? What if I had died that night? What would I have become?" "Nothing, forgotten. You saved me then, but can you save me now?" The boy's body turned to ash, blowing away in the wind. The man fell to his knees, tears burning his eyes. "I'm not a leader. I'm not a savior. I'm just a man who gave food to a child." The commander's voice, the darkness shattered. Light rushed back. He was once again in the ship's chamber, gasping, sweat dripping down his face. His heart thundered. The commander stood before him, watching closely. "You faced fear, power, and truth," the commander said. "And you survived." The man shook his head, trembling. "No, I failed. I was afraid. I didn't want power. I couldn't even save you in the vision." The commander stepped closer, his voice steady. "That is why you succeeded. You did not run from fear. You did not hunger for power. And you remembered mercy." The man blinked, confused. "But I was weak." The commander's eyes glowed brighter. "Weakness is not failure. Weakness is the start of strength. Many rulers hunger for power. Many soldiers worship war. But few remember compassion. And compassion is what makes you more than them." The enemy presses. Suddenly the ship shook violently. The control chamber flickered with alarms. A voice shouted, "Shields down to 40%! We cannot hold much longer." The commander turned, his face hardening. "The test is over. Now comes the war." He looked at the man. "Stand with me. Not because you are fearless, not because you are powerful, but because you are human. And that is what my enemies fear most." The man stood slowly, his hands still shaking, but his eyes clearer than before. He felt small, yes, but not useless. He remembered the boy's words long ago. "One day I will return." And now, he realized, the boy had not only returned for him, he had returned for humanity. The commander raised his arm. "Will you fight not as my servant, but as my equal?" The man took a deep breath. Fear still gripped him, but inside that fear was something stronger. Resolve. He nodded. "Yes." The commander smiled, the faintest trace of pride on his face. "Then let us show them what humanity truly is." Outside, the enemy ship grew closer, weapons burning red. The battle was far from over. But now, for the first time, the man did not feel like a bystander. He felt ready. The silver ship roared forward, weapons blazing. Streams of white light cut across the void, slamming into the enemy's red vessel. Explosions burst like silent fireworks in the black sky. The man gripped the edge of the command table, his heart pounding. He had never imagined he would see such a battle, let alone stand in the middle of one. The commander stood tall beside him, calm in the chaos. His glowing eyes locked on the enemy ship. They will not stop. Not until you are taken. The man froze. Taken, why me? I'm not. The commander turned sharply. You still don't understand, do you? The revelation. The ship shook again as another blast struck their shields. But the commander's words were louder than the alarms. When I said you were chosen, I did not mean only by me. My enemies know the truth as well. They fear you because you are not like them. The man frowned. Not like them? I'm not like you either. I'm just human. The commander's eyes burned brighter. Exactly. He raised his hand and the walls of the ship came alive, projecting images of ancient wars across the stars. Massive alien armies clashed, worlds burned, fleets were torn apart. For centuries, empires had risen and fallen. Powerful, merciless, endless. But none of them had what you have, the commander said. Hope. Humans are small, fragile, short-lived. Yet you endure. Even in weakness you resist. Even in fear you fight. That is what makes you dangerous to them. That is why you are here. The man's breath caught. You mean humanity matters? To the galaxy? The commander nodded. More than you know. Humanity's weight. The man staggered back, the weight of the words crushing him. His entire life he had been ordinary, unseen, forgotten, and now he was being told that humanity itself carried something the galaxy needed. But I didn't ask for this, he whispered. The commander's voice softened. Neither did I when I was stranded on your world. But destiny does not ask, it chooses. The ship shook violently again. Sparks rained from the ceiling. An officer shouted, "Shields failing." "We cannot hold much longer." The commander gritted his teeth. "Prepare the core cannon. End this now." The man looked at him, fear rising. "You'll destroy them." "If we don't, they will destroy us," the commander said firmly. "The enemy speaks." Then, for the first time, the enemy ship opened a channel. A voice filled the chamber, dark, deep, almost inhuman. "Human," it hissed. "We know you are there. You are the reason he defies us. Give yourself to us and we will spare your world." The man froze, his blood running cold. The enemy knew him. They wanted him. The commander's face hardened. "Do not answer them. Their words are poison." But the voice continued. "He uses you. He hides behind you. You think you are chosen? No, you are a tool. Come with us and you will see the truth." The ship fell silent. Every officer stared at the man, waiting. The true test, the man's chest tightened. Doubt clawed at his mind. The visions from his trial returned, fear, power, truth. And now this, another choice. He looked at the commander. "Am I just a tool? Did you bring me here only to use me?" The commander's jaw tightened. His glowing eyes softened. "I cannot answer that for you. You must decide what you believe." The man shook his head. "But how do I know what's real?" The commander stepped closer. "You already do. You knew it the night you gave food to a dying child. You acted without reason, without proof, without knowing who I was. You trusted your humanity. Trusted again." The man closed his eyes. For a moment he heard both voices, the enemy calling him, the commander guiding him. Then slowly he opened his eyes. "I choose humanity." The strike. The commander gave a single nod. "Then stand with me." He raised his hand. The ship's core cannon fired. A blinding beam of silver light burst forward, slamming into the enemy vessel. The red ship cracked, twisted, and exploded in silence, burning into fragments that scattered across the void. Cheers erupted in the chamber. Officers shouted in triumph. For the first time, the man breathed deeply, his chest light. They had won. But victory was short. As the fragments of the enemy ship burned away, more lights appeared in the distance, dozens, hundreds. An entire fleet of red vessels, each one larger than the last, rising from the shadows of space. The man's stomach dropped. "There are more." The commander's face darkened, but his voice was steady. "Yes, and they will not stop. They will never stop." The man turned to him, fear and determination mixing in his eyes. "Then what do we do?" The commander looked at him, his voice low but strong. "We show them what it means to fight beside a human." The fleet closed in, the stars swallowed by red fire. The war was only beginning, and the man realized the boy's promise had never been about one return. It was about a future, one where humanity itself would stand among the stars for better or worse. The stars awaited, and with them destiny.